Welcome everyone to the program. We begin with President Muhammadu Buhari, who has been telling the global community the steps his administration is adopting to contribute to the fight against climate change. He spoke at a climate change summit convened by the UN Secretary General at the ongoing meetings of the General Assembly. The president joined other world leaders in calling for urgent and sustained action to stem the challenge of climate change, which he describes as self-inflicted.
Muhammadu Buhari.
The UN Secretary General is hosting leaders from government, the private sector and civil society. Among the leaders is President Muhammadu Buhari.
I'd like to invite to the stage His Excellency.
The summit seeks concrete actions, plans and initiatives to tackle climate change. It also aims to boost ambition and accelerate action to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement. President Muhammadu Buhari explains how.
I want to announce that the government of Nigeria will develop a more robust sectorial action plan and expand the scope of our sovereign green bonds in line with our intended upward review of Nigeria's NDCs towards the inclusion of the water and waste section by 2020. We will take concrete steps to harness climate innovative ideas by including youth in decision-making processes as part of our overall climate governance architecture. We will mobilize Nigerian youth towards planting 25 million trees to enhance Nigeria's carbon sink.
He also seeks partnership for what is one of the visible impacts of climate change in Nigeria, the Lake Chad.
The Lake Chad Basin, which used to be a region of productivity, food security, and wealth for an estimated 40 million citizens living around the lake basin, has shrunk significantly from its original size due to climate change. We will continue to lead in efforts to have solid partnership for the ecological restoration and recharge of the Lake Chad.
The climate summit started with the UN Secretary General meeting with youth on the issue, the first of its kind, while leaders spoke on the steps they are adopting to check the menace.
And after about 8-week recess, the Nigerian senators are resuming plenary today with crucial matters awaiting the upper chamber's consideration. Last week, the Senate president had informed the public that due process will be followed before passing the 2020 draft budget. Hopefully, we'll join our correspondent for more updates on plenary today. And days after the Speaker of the House of Representatives threatened to report service chiefs to the President over their failure to honor the invitation of the House, the service chiefs yesterday appeared before lawmakers to discuss the state of security in the country. Even though the Chief of Army Staff and the Inspector General of Police were absent, they, however, sent in representatives to the meeting.
On Friday, the 20th of September, the Speaker of the House of Representatives arrived at his meeting room, which was supposed to host a discussion session between the leadership of the House of Representatives and the service chiefs on the security situation in the country. While the Inspector General of Police, the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, and the Director General of the Department of State Services were present, the service chiefs sent in representatives, an action which the Speaker openly frowned at before abruptly adjourning the meeting.
The head of parliament will call the service chiefs for a nagging problem, how to resolve it. And you'll have what you call no call, no show. I will personally see the president myself. I think enough said. We'll adjourn this meeting till Monday, 10 o'clock. And I believe the Chief of Army Staff and the Inspector General of Police.
23rd of September, and the meeting actually holds, this time with the service chiefs, the Director General of the DSS, and the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service in attendance, except the Inspector General of Police and the Chief of Army Staff, who had earlier communicated their absence.
My inability to be here in person last Friday was due to an equally urgent interaction at the presidency, while the Chief of Army Staff was out of the country at that time. That notwithstanding, our various chiefs of operations were here to represent us. I wish to put on record that, contrary to insinuations, our inability to be here on Friday was not a deliberate act to disrespect the institutions of the National Assembly.
The Chief of Defense Staff further explains the strides achieved in the fight against insurgency, which the Speaker says is the reason for the meeting.
We have achieved better integration of our land and air power, as well as greater coordination with other security and intelligence agencies through regular strategic meetings at the highest level of command and down to the chain of command.
It's clear that you had made giant strides over time. And that's why we're concerned that these giant strides, all of a sudden, we seem to be retrogressing, and that's why we called for this meeting.
The rest of the meeting holds behind closed doors, and there is no briefing afterwards. But according to the Speaker, the National Assembly will work closely with the security agencies to curb insecurity, especially in the area of budgeting.
So the federal government continues to tinker on ways of rejigging Nigeria's security architecture, with ideas of community policing as well as other reforms being considered for adoption. With the coming on board of a Minister of Police Affairs, how much mandate, resource, also the political will are available to change the security landscape in the country? We find out as he joins us, the Minister of Police Affairs, Alhaji Megari Dingyadi from our Abuja studios. I'd like to thank you for joining us on the program, and first ask you briefly tell us what your portfolio entails.
Well, let me first of all thank Channel Television for giving me the opportunity to be here this morning and to say that we are very grateful for this partnership. And my name is Muhammad Megari Dingyadi Katukan Sokoto, the Minister of Police Affairs for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As the portfolio implies, I'm leading the Ministry of Police Affairs. And like you know, for the past 5 years, this ministry has not been functioning. Out of the concern of Mr. President, he decided to re-establish the ministry, and on 21st of this month, September, we were sworn in, and I reported to the new Ministry of Police Affairs. And out of the commitment of the IG and the other staff that are working there, we were willingly received. On that same same Wednesday that I was sworn in, and within 3 days before Monday, my office was fully ready, well furnished, well set for me to resume work. And we came on Monday to resume work in full swing.
Now, you performed your first official assignment since assumption of office, and that's by declaring open the Interpol Week earlier. You further explained there that the aim of the president's action was to reposition the police for better service delivery to the nation and beyond, saying that this was coming at a critical time the country was passing through at the moment. From your observation, how bad are things?
Well, you are absolutely right. The intention of Mr. President is to ensure that all those things that are bad are properly put in check. And like you know, security in Nigeria and in any other country is a very challenging problem. These days, you hear people arranging for their own kidnap just to get money. You hear people trying to attack villages, threatening them to collect money for them, or they will attack them. So many other challenging security issues in this country. And we know they are not only in Nigeria, they are everywhere. So we have that responsibility. You are aware that Mr. President, right from 2015, has assured Nigerians that he's going to go into economic recovery, fighting on corruption, and ensuring security. All these three issues, they are interrelated. And we are now set on ground to ensure that issue of security, particularly kidnapping, armed banditry, insurgency, and the rest of them, to the best of our ability, put on hold or checked drastically.
Let's look at the effectiveness of the police force. And the question is, what are some of the changes you'll be making to turn things around? Because recently, the death of the daughter of the leader of the group, Afenifere, Mrs. Funke Olakunrin, in a statement, the group accused the police of poor handling of the investigation of her murder, saying there was no forensic investigation, no autopsy. I mean, what can you tell us about this, and also ways in which what you will be doing to turn things around in the Department of Police?
You see, Nigerians are aware that for some time now, police have been battling with very poor funding, very insufficient funds, and under this kind of situation, we would not expect the police force to do very much, that is as much as being expected by the general public. But now, just recently, June this year, Mr. President has signed into law a bill to establish the Police Reform Fund intervention, and we expect by early next year we'll be sourcing these funds, and these funds will be there for us to ensure that we equip, we reposition, and we try to re-engineer the police to ensure that they perform more creditably and they will be competing favorably with other police in the world. This is why we are trying to make sure that police now are made to work in tune with the time, because we have to make sure that we are digital. We try to ensure that we know what is happening around us, and this is the only way we can be able to fight some of these issues that have been developed in this country.
There have been several initiatives by some state governments. Take, for example, Katsina State with a new model, making peace with bandits. We also have Enugu and the forest guards to implement a neighborhood personnel and also to secure the state against bandits. With the new community policing approach, how do you plan to build the trust of the people in the police?
You see, that is one big problem that police are facing in this country. We need to take the general public along to inform Nigerians that police are their friends and that they are there to assist them in combating crime. Mr. President, in his own wisdom, has encouraged the Inspector General of Police and all other security stakeholders to go back and work together with the state governments, the traditional institutions, the community leaders, to ensure that we key into these new ideas brought by the president. And I think we are working with most of the state governments, particularly the ones that you mentioned, to ensure that we work together in synergy so that together we fight these bedeviling issues that are coming up on a daily basis in these states across the country.
Just before we let you go, what can you tell us in 30 seconds, some of the things that you will be doing to, of course, support the police department, and what Nigerians can take home from you as the new Minister of Police Affairs?
As the minister in charge of this Ministry of Police Affairs, I want to assure Nigerians that I will lead this ministry to ensure that we get the needed support, the needed funds, and we inject ideas that will ensure that we move the police force forward, to ensure that they have better equipment, they are better trained, and they have a better image before the general public, so that together with all Nigerians, we will work more effectively to fight insurgency, to fight armed banditry, and to fight kidnapping in this country.
We'd like to thank you, Minister of Police Affairs, Alhaji Megari Dingyadi, for joining us on the program.